My new spouse owes money to the IRS. Are they going to come after me to collect the money? That's a question we're going to answer here today. My name is Darren T. Misha. They call me the IRS Solution Attorney. And this question, like a lot of these questions that I answer here on these videos, is kind of a tough one. I can tell you this. Generally speaking, the general rule is if you just got married to somebody who owed the IRS back taxes, then you're not going to be liable for the tax. It makes sense, right? Just because you married them doesn't mean that you're going to automatically be liable for their past debts, except if you live in a community property state. Now, I actually practice law in Florida and as well as Colorado. I went to law school in California and I grew up there. And I took a class in community property many years ago, and so I don't feel entirely qualified to answer this question. I think if you live in a community property state, you may have a problem. So let me talk about which states are community property. It's basically the states that came from Mexico. So California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Nevada, Wisconsin is one of the anomalies. I don't know why Wisconsin's community property. And I think Oregon and Washington are community property states as well. You cannot quote me on that. You'd have to look that up. But if you're in a community property state, there may be a problem because all of the property and debts of the marriage belong to each other. So basically, you're liable for all of the debts, and you actually own all of the property, even the property that you bring to the marriage, as long as you don't have a prenuptial agreement. That's my understanding in community property states. If you're not in a community property state, which should be most of the people watching this video, then the IRS cannot collect from you if it's your former spouse or your new spouse who owes the money. Now, if you brought assets to the marriage and those assets are still titled in your name, you have nothing to worry about. If you jointly title something, like for example your new house, then you might actually have a little bit of a problem. You still own 50% of the house, according to IRS rules and procedures, but it might be hard to explain and might get kind of complicated. If you file a joint return after you're married and there's a refund coming, and the refund is largely attributable to you, the non-liable spouse in this example, then the IRS is going to go ahead and keep the refund and try and offset what the liable spouse owes. And I think that sort of makes sense. If you don't like that situation, if you don't want to participate in that, you can file what's called an injured spouse form. I believe it's form 8379, and you can get your portion of the refund back. That was really beyond the scope of this video, but a little extra added bonus for you. If you have questions about this or really anything else that has to do with IRS problems, I encourage you to visit our website at getirshelp.com.